Hi again then guys, and welcome to another X-Tunes Extreme Circuit build for Gran Turismo 6 in particular. And basically, these tunes, for those who are maybe not familiar with them, is where we take a vehicle with a lot of potential in terms of tuning, and we basically do everything you possibly can to it to increase the power, lower the weight, increase the PP level, basically to see what the ultimate level of that car's performance can be, including stuff like flat floors, which we typically wouldn't use because they reduce top-end speed. But in this case it's more of a circuit tune, so it doesn't matter as much, plus you get that huge PP jump from using a flat floor. In the case of this car, it increases the car's PP level from about 633 all the way up to 665, as you can see, and that is a huge level for a wagon, an Audi RS6, specifically to be sitting at. Now the car's got good power, over 1,000 horses, but it's also quite a bit heavier than many of the other cars in this series, so it'll be interesting to see how it fares around the full Nordschleife circuit. Now I've gone for racing hard tyres. Of course you could go for mediums or softs to be even quicker, but I know a lot of people don't like those, so I use the tune without them. As far as suspension, we've got the ride height as low as possible, because with all that weight you want to keep the centre of gravity nice and low, which also reduces body roll in corners, makes it handle and makes its stance more like that of a race car in effect. As far as the springs, I have tightened those up a little bit to 1425 and 1075. The dampers we've got on 4 with anti-roll on 1 because it's already a very stiff car through corners. I've got neutral camber, neutral toe. We'll come back to the gearbox in just a second. As far as the diff, and this will vary a lot with a car like this, in fact most all-wheel drive cars do, but I've got the lowest initial torque, the highest acceleration and the lowest braking. But I would definitely recommend trying different settings, or if you already know a setup that you prefer, by all means go for that, because this car's handling will not be for everyone. It's definitely not beginner friendly, it likes to be worked hard. Now, as far as the centre split, I've gone for a very rear-heavy bias, again to improve the manoeuvrability. Once again though, you don't have to go for that, you could have it on, well, whatever you want. You could have it on 2080, 3070, whatever. As far as the power, you can build it to whatever level you want, of course, 650 pp for instance. I've just done everything to it, so of course, just do the same if you want that, plus an oil change of course. And as far as the weight, you definitely want to give it the full weight loss package. Now finally for the gearbox, this will vary depending on the track that you use and also whether or not you opt to fit the flat floor or not, because without the flat floor this is the fastest wagon in the game, by far. It can do around 270 miles per hour without any aid or without NOS. So with the flat floor you lose a huge amount of speed. You're looking at about 210 on a flat straight road. So it depends on if you want to keep that at the sake of a lower PP or not. I've gone for an auto setting of 249, as you can see, then individual gears of 3.5, 2.3, 1625, 1250, 1 and 8, with a final drive of 3.2. And that ratio, or that combination of ratios, is enough to get you up around about 200, 205 around the Nordschleife on the straight sections, which isn't amazing, but at the end of the day you do always have to remember that this is a wagon we're talking about. So even though it is powerful, it's not as aerodynamic, the weight is higher, that kind of thing, and that all has a bearing. It's kind of like taking an SUV around the track. You wouldn't expect it to be as quick. Likewise with a wagon, the weight distribution, the way it performs is just totally different to what, for instance, an RS6 sedan would be. But that's it for the tune, and as always there's plenty of room for personal variation and personalisation, but now let's actually take it out, as I said, to the Nordschleife to see what it's capable of. Now, as I said, this is a wagon, and you always have to take that into account with a car like this. It's much more of a utility-biased vehicle, but of course in RS form, like this one, it is geared towards higher performance, of course. Now, my personal lap of the Nordschleife with this car, as I will jump cut in this video so that you can see when I cross the line what the lap is a 641. Now, in comparison to other cars, like supercars or race cars, that's not as quick as some of them can be. Certainly not. But for a wagon, a 641 isn't bad. Now, it's more of a novelty tune for a novelty car. I wouldn't recommend taking it up against necessarily race cars at that level, but this just allows you to have a lot of high performance fun with a wagon, and as far as the wagons go, it is pretty much the strongest one in the game around the track. But overall, if you do decide to use this tune for your RS6, I hope of course you have a lot of fun with it, and you can definitely win some races with it if you use it under the right circumstances. But that's it overall for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.